Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Annie News, continuing with the cut content videos from Rising of the Shield Hero. And today we're checking out Naofumi's training arc and the betrayal of the other heroes. I've just watched episode 2, and I do feel like there is a heck of a lot of stuff being left out, and it's very, like, rushing into a lot of stuff, and there's characters that I just don't understand why they're there, and I'm hoping this is, like, gonna go into that, because I'm so confused at points.
I'm sure you've noticed with the way Shield Hero is currently going that there's quite a bit happening, but not a lot of explanation.
Yes!
There's new characters
very much so.
Left,
yes.
There's story elements that are being rushed through like they're nothing. So, as much as I'd like to do an in-depth cut content on the core chapters we've seen this episode, I think it's best to go back and provide more of the much-needed context on how we got here.
Please.
That way,
that'd be awesome.
Topics like the heroes' disappearances, as well as new characters like Claire and the old lady, will make more sense.
Yes, please.
So, instead of this being cut content for episode 27, consider this more like an episode 25.5.
Cool.
An Annie News special to bring you up to speed with the vast progress made between
yeah, like what's actually happening.
Then next week I'll do a combined cut content for episodes 27 and 28.
Cool.
Now, before we get started, it's important to note that all this does take place before the Spirit Tortoise had even been identified.
Ah.
Yes, there were incidents of mysterious monsters attacking villages around the globe,
cool.
But no one had yet been able to deduce that these were the Spirit Tortoise's familiars, which places everything I'm about to talk about chronologically before anything we've seen in Season 2 so far.
Okay, cool.
So, if we start from where we left off last cut content, it wasn't long after Keel and Rishio were made Naofumi's slaves that we were introduced to the female knight that we see here. The daughter of the noble who once governed Raftalia's village.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because she's just there. It's like, yeah, I trained them. It's like, okay.
Unlike how we were initially led to believe, though, it turns out that the former nobles of Raftalia's village weren't all killed after all. Yes, their talented lineage of knights was heavily damaged during the waves, but not all were killed like how Naofumi thought they were.
Okay,
instead,
people survived.
Used the chaos to hunt down the demi-human survivors and sell them off as slaves.
Oh.
That being the case, Claire saw it necessary to find those traitors and bring them to justice.
Okay, this explains the whole, like, I must repent for my father's sins kind of thing.
It was only after the end of the Calmira arc that she'd finally been able to capture the last of them and return back to the Queen, resulting in her being chosen to train the heroes now. As for her qualifications, well, aside from being the winner of the national fencing tourney, the only people stronger than her were either dead, imprisoned, or demoted, making her the most suitable person in the entire kingdom to make the hero stronger. Now, I won't go too deep into the actual events of the training, but you should know that despite it being for all the heroes to get stronger together, Naofumi's party was the only one.
So she didn't just train Naofumi then, the other...
The other three didn't even attempt to show up for the first few days of it.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Well, aside from making them more proficient in battle operations, the main goal was to learn a style of combat called the Hengen Muso style.
Hengen Muso style sounds amazing.
Created with the purpose of granting its users powers similar to that of the heroes. That's not to say a master of it would be capable of fighting against a well-trained hero, but the Hengen Muso style does even the playing field a bit.
Cool.
It provides regular people with the power to fight against enemies that...
This makes so much sense. Why they're able to do that.
And the person teaching it would be the main focus for several chapters of this mini-training arc. If the appearance of this old lady seemed out of place to you, well, that's because she's the other teacher the Queen had hired to train the heroes.
Right.
The last living practitioner of the Hengen Muso style, and the only one capable of teaching anyone how to use it. When it comes to how strong...
Why leave all this out, man? That's so weird.
To know she's actually 20 levels higher than Naofumi. She was only 5 levels away from the level cap of 100. Of course, there did exist a class-up ceremony which allowed you to progress past that, but unfortunately that was a process which was forgotten many long years ago.
No,
so,
of course.
Naofumi was able to rediscover how that legendary ceremony was once performed.
Would that be maybe like the PlayStation Plus? Is that how it works? You complete Dark Souls and you play again, but you got all those power-ups?
It's once the other heroes join a little bit later, though, that we really start to get some useful insight into how they think and why they act the way they do sometimes. Especially Ren and his attempt at making himself the most hated hero out of all of them. Since I'm still not convinced the anime would completely skip out on all of this, though, we're just gonna fast forward a bit to when the other heroes began to show their true colors.
Okay.
It was after only a week of what was likely grueling hardships to the three of them that each had decided to abandon their training completely.
Ugh, idiots. It's too hard.
Rather than accept the fact that they were much less stronger than they thought themselves to be, They instead chose to avoid the thought and run away from it.
Wow, come on. You can't run away from your problems, guys.
Before they could. Of course, the typical excuses came up over and over again, but the main one they kept coming back to was Naofumi. Not only was he a cheater they felt they could no longer stand to be anywhere near, but they
We
also
must blame an
believed he was using the
individual.
training to punish them for the way they treated him before. It was far easier to pin the blame on Naofumi than simply accept the fact that they didn't want to put the effort in to become stronger.
Yeah.
Leading them to the extreme measures they were taking now. That said, this wasn't something the Queen was willing to let happen by any means.
Go ahead,
As
Queenie.
someone who had foreseen this as a potential outcome, she had taken the necessary measures to make leaving Melremark as difficult as possible. Not only were the border guards ordered to not let the heroes pass, but any guild in any country with relations to Melremark had already been told not to issue any quests.
Oh.
So, if the heroes did still somehow manage to leave the country, unless they went to a new one both diplomatically and geographically removed from Melremark, the only thing awaiting them would be death. It was a necessary action that backed the other
That's
heroes
extreme.
into a pretty isolated corner, eventually leading them to escalate matters in a way I personally never would have expected. With nowhere else to turn, the other heroes began to raise their weapons as if to fight, pointing them at the Queen as if to try and scare her.
Oh.
This wasn't something the Queen was really bothered by, but the very intent to do so had showed just how desperate they were.
Damn.
They were quite literally moments away from passing the point of no return.
Though, that would have been something else.
The Queen was more than generous enough to provide an out for them, an offer of freedom in exchange for two very simple tasks. If they could eradicate some mysterious monsters plaguing the country, as well as participate in stopping the next wave in about a week, then after that the Queen would let them do whatever they wanted.
Okay.
It was an offer they couldn't refuse no matter how much they wanted to. So, with no choice but to accept, the other heroes reluctantly left to earn their freedom, bringing an end to a scene I really hoped would be in the anime. Of course, there was plenty more to it that added to the intensity, but in the off chance that it does somehow appear later, I'll keep the more riveting details for a later episode.
Yeah, just in case, right? Cool,
The main
cool.
thing that does need to be taken away from this, though, is that this was how the heroes ended up missing in episode 1. They were sent to investigate these mysterious monsters,
Right.
but instead fled to the east and couldn't be found after that. Initially, they were rather responsive during their first few days of investigations, but whenever it came time to discuss what they had found, it always appeared as if they were hiding something. Their nonchalant attitude had made it clear that there had to be something. Then, after the third day of hunting whatever these monsters were, the news had arrived of the other heroes' inevitable escape. Well, that may not have been their intent, but apparently they had broken through the borders under the pretense that they
Jesus, they are idiots, man. Oh my god. There you go.
Whatever the
idiots.
other three heroes were traveling east to do, it clearly had some relation to the information
They
that
must
were
know
hiding.
what's causing this after all.
Information they were seemingly willing to make themselves.
I can't believe this has all been cut out. This
As
is
for what
mental.
their true intentions really were, well, that was something only Victoria knew. You see, Naofumi had tried to contact her to get her help in catching them, but her ability to teleport didn't extend to the country that they were heading to. She did mention how she knew what they were up to, but she didn't really elaborate beyond the implication that they were supposedly attempting to end the waves for good. It was a plan that strayed from the path Victoria had intended for them. A plan that would force Naofumi
I love
to have to
Naofumi's
make
costume, man. It
his
looks so
changing
cool.
decisions sooner than later. I don't know if you remember from back in Season 1, but Victoria had mentioned how there would come a time when Naofumi would have to choose between the world or the people.
Yeah.
He could either cooperate with the heroes and try to save everyone, or do things solo and save the world instead. A choice in which the latter always required significant sacrifice. Yes, the world would be saved and Naofumi would
Zawada.
everyone, but the cost that came with it was a great deal of life. Potentially even all life. So, with the heroes going rogue and putting themselves at risk, the choice to save the people was getting ever more distant. Thus the reason Naofumi would decide to chase after them. He would rather put aside his differences and deal with their arrogance than be responsible for what's essentially an apocalyptic situation. But yeah,
For the
that's
people.
pretty much everything that happened before we get to the Spirit Tortoise stuff. The heroes are missing for a far bigger reason than you can imagine, and their selfishness is starting to put a lot more at stake than just small villages. It's a whole subplot I really hope the anime plans to delve more into with the future episodes. If not, then you can always be sure to get that missing information here. So, if you did happen to enjoy this video, then be sure to let me know down in the comments.
That was really good.
So you know when
I
the next one comes out next week.
understand why people are in places that they
As
are
always,
now.
thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So, until next time.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Cool. My god, was that helpful. Like, what? Why have they cut so much stuff out? That's mental. So, yeah, that makes sense. I now understand why the lady's there. I now understand why the two ladies are there, and her fighting style and everything. And, yo, why the other heroes aren't there. Awesome. Thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is the last help support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that, and thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys, next time.